Hi guys, welcome to another video tutorial with me, Clarice. In this video, we are going to be doing something very beginner friendly and fun. Even if you're on an intermediate level, I encourage you to try this because I think you're going to find more creative expression and more freedom in terms of where you want to go with the flow. So here's what we're going to be doing. We are going to be doing a beautiful base layer of watercolor blending. So we'll take a couple of colors that look really good together blended, and we'll allow that to dry before we go in with our metallics and then do a little bit of an illustration. So this right here is a rose, as you can tell. So really quickly, let me go over my supplies. And before I start telling you about my supplies, guys, I encourage you to please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, as it really does help my channel grow and I can continue making fun videos like this for you guys. So for my watercolors, I'm using my Daler-Rowney set of 48. We're typically using the Purple Lake, Cobalt Violet, and permanent mauve. Feel free to pick any three colors of your choice, whether it's a monochromatic color or colors. We need a light color, we need a medium color, and then we need a dark color. For metallics, I'm using my KMS, specifically the Champagne, which is so pretty. This is also going to be part of the supplies for the Tuscany watercolor retreat, and I can't wait for that. For brushes, I'm using my Princeton brushes, of course. We've got the Princeton Neptune oval wash in 1/2 inch. We've got the Princeton Heritage in 0 for tiny details like the illustration. And then we've got the Princeton around number 6, maybe for mixing color or just dropping color in. For paper, I'm using my Baohong watercolor paper. I've got water handy. I've got a paper towel handy. You absolutely need a paper towel. It comes in handy a lot. I said handy a lot, right? Okay, and that's it. We're ready to begin. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is using my oval brush to get my sheet damp. So with just water, I'm just like roughly going around here. And maybe instead of covering up the whole sheet with water, maybe just do more of a round, circular, organic flower shape, I would say. Let's just do that. And this way we're dampening up our sheet. I've got a little bit of a tinge of green, but we're gonna go with the flow there. And then the first thing I wanna do is get my base coat. So for my base coat, I'm gonna use the permanent mauve, which I believe, no, sorry, not the permanent mauve, the cobalt violet, which is the lighter version of the two colors. And I'm just gonna roughly mix that on here. And the pinky purple is there just to sort of mix that in and get a slightly different hue. And we want our brush full of water right now. So the mixture is more of an 80-20%, 20% color, 80% water. We allow the water to sort of seep into the paper. That's been long enough while we were mixing our colors. And now we're gonna go in and do a couple of strokes. So feel free to do more of a rose kind of feel for your strokes and try and leave white space in between. And when I say rose kind of feel, I mean all your C strokes. So do your strokes like as if you were painting a very loose rose. And then we're gonna go in, let's get a little bit of our Purple Lake, mix that in, and then drop that in certain areas. And now is the perfect time because this is when you're going to see the beautiful blooms happening. Feel free to get more water if you're really going outside the edges. You're essentially just trying to dampen the sheet and have color all over the place in beautiful little watercolor blooms, which is what makes watercolor so awesome. And then finally, I'm going to go in with my permanent mauve, which is the darker of them all, the darkest of them all. And we're dropping that in mainly in the center-ish, and watch that color bloom. Because I have taken the color directly from my color cake now, you can see how things are just blooming into the sheet. And that's what happens when you've got decent amount of color versus water on your brush, and your sheet is nice and damp. So we've got some beautiful blooms happening. Feel free to add that wherever you want to. Move the color around if you must, because it's damp, so you're getting a nice enough blend. I'm going to get a little bit of that pinky purple and drop that in here, so I get different variations of this purple happening in areas. And blend it in if you want. Okay, and now, since we didn't quite use this brush, we're going to take the number 6, get some water on it, and then I'm going to do a splatter. And this gives us a gorgeous texture almost to our colors that we have happening. And I want to see you guys spread around and have a good enough display of medium and dark and light happening within your drop. So if you want to go ahead, get your medium color. For me, it is the cobalt violet, and then just do a splatter. I need more water on here to do a nice hearty splatter. You can get some nice textures again using color as opposed to just using the water, which is what we did previously. So I'm just going to get more of that happening at the bottom here, a little bit at the top. And now we allow this to dry. And then when we're back, we're going to be using our zero and our champagne, and we're going to be illustrating some flowers, leaves within our beautiful arrangement of watercolor. I'm just going to take this time to sort of smoothen out the edges as well. But this is just something I want to do. You can leave your edges roughly painted. I'm just going to go ahead and smoothen things out. And I'm leaving some of these raw white spaces in between there. Now, you'll notice that watercolor dries lighter, and I can see some areas that are a lot darker. So I'm just going to do, this is me, doing a little bit of a splatter of the darker color as well, just to sort of pull that color downward towards this area. Maybe a little bit at the top as well. And that's it. Now we allow this to dry, and we'll come back and do our illustrations. So this is pretty much dry, and this is what we're going to be doing on over here. This is an idea, more of an idea for you guys to give you more creative ideas and express yourself better. So in this video, I'm just going to be doing the basic outline of a rose, and that's super easy once I explain how to do that. We're going to do the outline in the metallic Champagne by KMS using my Princeton 0. And if you feel like you would love to have beautiful contrast by adding darker purple or darker color, whatever color you've picked, roses in the background with some Payne's gray black leaves and such, go for it. This is supposed to be inspo for you guys pretty much, okay? So what I am going to do, how are we going to tackle where we're placing these flowers? So you can choose to do one big flower. This over here looks like one big flower to me. Or you can choose to pick the areas that are dark and build flowers from there, where the darkest area is the center, and then going outward. So here we go. I'm just dropping a bunch of water into my champagne and allowing that to seep in, and then gently swirling it around so I get some beautiful champagne metallic paint. And here's what we're doing for our drawing or illustration. So I'm going to pick this spot right here for my first flower. And I'm going to start off with doing little curves, kind of like a petal. I'm going to start off with one and then do another one here. And then we are just grazing the tip of our 0 or fine brush, so we get nice thin lines. And then I'm going to continue creating little curves around this. So that's our main center. And you can chop these down even smaller. And all you're doing is, if you want it to be smaller, is you're just creating more of these little curves within it. And there you have smaller versions of it. And now we're going to go around. If this is not making sense or a little bit complicated, I suggest you take a sheet of paper and try out what I'm doing. Watch me first, and then go ahead and create your own. You can make it super intricate, or you can make it super loose, or in between. You decide what works best for you. And if you want it to be a lot looser, we've got this version right here, as you can see. And then we've got this one here. So it really depends on what you would like to do. So I'm going to use some of the dark elements over here as a guide for what the petal should look like. This way you're giving a little bit of loose sort of detail, and you're going with what watercolor has determined for you. So I'm going to get this dark area here as another petal. And then I guess it's free range on this side here because everything is fairly bloomy and soft. Now, as we go outward, we want to make our petals thicker or wider. And this will give us the viewer more of an indication of depth. So you start small in the center, and then you're going wide as you go. Not wide, but like you're allowing for more space in between your petals. The width of your petals, rather. And for the sake of this video and keeping it short and not too complicated, I'm going to just do one flower with a stem and a leaf. And you guys can feel free to go ahead and take the examples that I've shown in this video as inspiration and just go with the flow. Explore and express yourself using your own creative judgment, and this is how you come to your own style. And yeah, have fun with it. The main point about this is we're not walking away to be Picassos. We're doing this for our me time and our method of exploring our own creative expression and style. Okay, so I'm kind of really digging how this has turned out. Loving this flower. It's smack dab in the center. That is one thing that I don't typically do in my videos. But here we go. It is what it is. I'm going with the flow. Okay, so almost done here. And then I'm going to extend and do a nice stem. And from that stem, we are going to get a leaf. So let's do a stem. I'll do a stem over here. There's a lot of action happening here with the dark blooms that we got. So I'm kind of just doing a very loosey stem. And then we will extend from the stem and create our leaf. So let me just get a little bit more mixture happening. And you can have your leaf on a completely different stem. So what I'm doing is extending to paint another one, another stem that is. And then I'll do my first leaf up here. And I'm doing something a little bit different from what I did in this one here. I'm creating my first leaf by painting it in solid. And then I'll do a couple more and paint those solid as well, just 2 small ones protruding from above the rose. Let's do another one kind of protruding this way. So these are thinner, longer leaves, so they could be more of a grassy element, fern-like element happening. Not quite as intricate as a fern, obviously. And then I'll do a proper rose leaf happening over here, and for that we'll use this style of just doing the lines in there. So here we go. I made that too thick because I was still thinking about doing the grassy leaves. So we're gonna go with the flow since I messed up over here and just paint that in. Sometimes you're verbally saying something, but your brain is directing you to do something entirely different. So this is unplanned and not what I wanted to do. So we're just going to go with the flow. This is an element of going with the flow. You mess up, don't worry. There's always another way to tackle things. So I'm going to create a leaf on this side. And now, brain, stop telling me to paint that in, because we're going to do a nice big leaf. And then I am doing my center for that leaf. And then finally adding the veins. Another idea for if you're not a huge fan of illustrating is to use stamps. If you've got a ton of stamps at home, that might be a great idea to sort of just stamp on your watercolor and then maybe give it a little bit more golden elements by highlighting certain areas of the stamp. Or actually, yeah, if you're doing the stamp in gold, then you obviously don't need any more gold elements. But if you're doing it in black and then you want to add some gold elements, you could probably get this sort of idea happening. All right, okay, so that is it, guys. Just wanted to give you a quick idea of what you can do while learning, like projects you can do while learning, you know, how watercolor flows and works and exploring your creative ideas. This is, like I mentioned, inspiration for you guys to take this further. Here's another inspo example for you. I hope you guys found this fun. I'd love to see your work and what you guys end up doing and stumbling upon. So please do share it with me on social media. And I've listed my Instagram and Facebook below. Join the group, share it in the group. It's people love commenting and encouraging one another. And then last but not least, if you enjoyed this, please hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, as it really does help my channel grow and I can continue creating videos like this for you guys. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching and we'll chat soon. Bye.